Here I am holding the official statements from the Thai prosecutors to finally drop my case after 5 months with no passport and a 5-year sentence at risk. Now, I've decided to tell my story and I want to share my story with you guys just because I feel like it can help. Whenever you're traveling or going to these different countries, or especially working in them like me, you need to understand a few things, and a few things that I understood, but I went along anyway, and it led to me being arrested, spending time in a prison cell, and also risking 5 years of a sentence and being stuck in Thailand for 5 months with no passport and no option but to stay there and fight the case. So I want to share my story, and I want to share basically what happened to me from start to finish of that day, kind of how I felt and what I went through throughout the process. And then at the end of the video I want to share a few tips about what contracts you should sign and shouldn't sign, how you can and can't work in Thailand, what permits and visas you actually do need, and just a few things that you can avoid if you're looking to work out there in Thailand. Now, my story is about me. It is simply what happened about me, my opinion, my thoughts, and what I went through. So at no point is this about anybody else. It is simply what happened to me, and I just want to share that with you guys. I think like it's going to help a lot of people, and I've had a lot of interest, a lot of people reaching out to me. So making this video is kind of me telling everybody at once and not sending 100 messages, but I really want to say thank you to everybody that has sent messages and that know about this. So what happened to this lengthy investigation of photos of me and being in a police station for over 6 hours and then having to spend some time within a prison cell before managing to get bailed out and fight my case for 5 months. What actually happened? So in the summer I decided to go and work for a travel company. I decided that I wanted to go and experience it. I've lived in Bali and I wanted to go out there and work, so I reached out to a company. They accepted me, and absolutely dream job. You want to go out there and get paid for taking people around Thailand, partying and enjoying it. Yeah, it didn't end like that for me. Anyway, so I went out there and my first tour was absolutely amazing. The people that I met on the first tour, you knew who you are, was unbelievable, and I was so excited for the rest of the season, just because my start of 2023 wasn't actually that good, and I did want to just enjoy my summer out there in Thailand. I guess what's that law where everything goes wrong at once? That was kind of 2023 for me. And I was into my second tour, and this one I was doing on my own. So I'd done the first one with a manager. I went through all of that, and that was absolutely amazing and loved it. Highlight of my summer probably. And then I went on to the second tour. Now we start in Bangkok and then we go down to Phuket. And in Phuket we do a day tour, and we go to some viewpoints. We go to the Big Buddha and we go to Phuket Old Town. And it's actually a really good itinerary and a great day for everybody in Phuket. So on the way to the viewpoint, there's a lot of traffic, and it was just terrible to get there. So we decided to actually go to the Big Buddha first. On the way to the Big Buddha in Phuket, there was a motorbike accident, and everybody in the cars, if you've been in Asia, you know what it's like. They're just on the road, they're dead, and they're not covered up, and you can just drive past them this close. That's exactly what we did, and a lot of people was upset. So straight away I jumped on to the team's chat and just said, like, this is what's happened, shall I have a chat with people? And I got the go ahead to have a conversation with them when we got to the Big Buddha, to say that if we wanted to call the day off, we can call the day off. If they wanted to speak to me, they can speak to me, and so forth. So anyway, the buses turn up at Big Buddha. I jump out, the rest of the team jumps out, and I call everybody over and tell them to go get an ice cream, go get a bottle of water, relax. I know what we're seeing is terrible. If they want to talk to me, please feel free to talk to me. Now, straight away from this point, as soon as getting out of the buses, the tourist police were on my case, and they was filming and videoing me straight away. Now, jumping straight out of a bus and calling people over, it's going to spark the tourist police anyway. They're going to be like, oh, who's this guy? What's he doing? And so they started their investigation. Now we have a Thai tour guide, and this Thai tour guide should wear a Thai lanyard and a permit to say he is the Thai representative. Unfortunately, he wasn't wearing it at the time. It's a bit of plastic around your neck, you forget it all the time, no big deal, right? Actually, it's a big deal to them. When you're in kind of these places and sacred places and the big Buddha and stuff, they take it very seriously. And obviously a lot of people jumping out. I think there's about 17 people jumping out of taxis, kind of alerts them straight away, right? So they had no idea who was the tour guide, whether it was me, whether it was the Thai tour guide. And I actually, after about an hour of investigation, got arrested for working with no permit and working as a Thai tour guide with no Thai permit. So, yes, that was why I was arrested. What happened from then? So, I actually spent, I can't even remember, it was just dark, it was miserable. Went through an investigation, went through all of that, and it was about 6 or 7 hours in a police station. Then went to a different police station to be put in the cell, to then go through the bail process of being bailed out. But I had to spend some time in that cell first, before being able to get bailed out. And I'm going to say it's the worst conditions I have ever been in. It is terrible. Hole in the floor as a toilet. The floor was just an absolute mess. There was ants crawling around everywhere. I had no blanket or anything to sleep on. I had to use a little water bottle as a pillow because it wouldn't give me anything. I had ants crawling over me, cockroaches, mosquitoes, 40 degrees. It was terrible, and I wouldn't wish it on anybody. So yeah, I had to stay in that prison cell, and eventually got bailed out, and the Thai tour guide used his Thai power to bail me out and put his name against me. So if I decided to run away or leave the country, he would be in trouble for it. So I'm very, very grateful for Thao. He did absolutely an amazing job. And then my passport was taken off me. I was allowed out on bail, and I had to go actually to these scheduled meetings pretty much every month, and they was at the prosecutor's office. To go sign papers, make sure I'm still in the country, re-sign my bail, and make sure that I'm in Thailand and where I am, where I'm staying, and what I'm doing. So that was, yeah, I have to say, probably the worst experience of my life, hands down. Now, hopefully I explain that well. I've not really wrote a script for this video. I just wanted to set the camera up and talk, and yeah, we'll do exactly that. So, why was I actually arrested then? Like, what led to this, and what led to a lengthy case? Well, actually, in Thailand, you are not allowed to work in any format, right? Whether you're volunteering or working, you need permits and you need correct visas. And the job that I decided to do, they don't provide you with the visas. They send you out as a consultant agreement. They send you out. And basically you're acting as self-employed, even though you're not self-employed, because you're not invoicing for the work. You're fulfilling services, a list of services that they give you inside of the contract. So this is where it gets very, very difficult, and the company had nothing set up to actually avoid this. If they had something set up, then it would be handed straight over to the police, everything would be done. I'm working there legally, everything is fine. It's not the case. You simply cannot do it, and they know this because this year they are actually not sending any consultants out. There's no English reps out there. It is just Thai reps. So this has obviously all come up. They've been advised not to do that for whatever reason. They've chosen not to do that, whether that's to have a season where the eyes are not on them, whatever. They've decided not to do that. Yeah, you simply cannot work. You need correct visas. You can't even volunteer. So we're out there on tourist visas and delivering these services that they have contracted for us in order to get some expenses paid. It is how pretty much every company like that sets up, and even Camp America give you pocket money and send you out there for working on camp and volunteering. But again, visas are very different in each country, and Thailand take it very, very seriously. You simply cannot work. So it's a lengthy process of the company actually fighting. They didn't obviously want me to go to prison, and they obviously didn't want any kind of bad media about them, because simply they wouldn't have a business at the end of it. So it was in their best interest to keep me out and to fight the corner, and it's exactly what they did. Now, am I going to say the process was smooth? Absolutely not. It's the first time I've ever been through this, and the first time the company's ever been through this. So it was an absolute mess how the whole thing was pretty much handled, dealt with, communication. Everything was just kind of crazy. So for 5 months, you can imagine what my brain was doing, how I was feeling. I was very ill. I was drinking excessively. I was causing absolute chaos because my mind was not there. It was an absolute fuck it moment. For me, it wasn't until like the last month where I was like, okay, I'm going to prison for 5 years. And after about a month, I kind of accepted that. So I chose to basically have a blast while I could, because in the back of my mind, or in the front of my mind, let's say, I was going to prison for 5 years, and I had court dates, prosecuted dates that I needed to attend. Luckily, these got pushed back, and I didn't actually have to attend them. The lawyers, multiple lawyers that dealt with this case, managed to get the result that the business and me was both looking for. So I'm very, very thankful for those guys, and very, very thankful for everyone involved, third party and inside of Thailand, that managed to get the result that we did. So yeah, what kind of mistakes was made? First of all, don't sign a consultancy agreement. Don't work for a travel company unless you're employed and have employment rights, because I have zero rights as an employment being a consultant and acting on their services. Zero. You don't have any rights. Now, the agreement and the contract looks like you're employed and looks like you're self-employed. However, it doesn't show anything of your business to be self-employed, and you don't invoice or receive a pay packet. You simply receive expenses. So the way in which to work it is very clever. If you was employed, you'd need national insurance, pension contribution, you'd have employment rights. They don't do any of that. They simply sign a contract, send you out there, and you fulfill their services basically on a tourist visa. It is not right. It is definitely not right. I've had full clearance of a lot of legal teams and legal people to say this is absolutely wrong, and it is wrong because they're not sending people out next year. Now, this video isn't to slag off anybody, and it isn't to talk bad about anyone. It's simply what happened to me, and I've just set this camera up and talked very briefly, and there's a lot more that I could probably say and go into and talk about of what actually happened. And like, even from being after I posted that I wanted to post this video, and I've had messages from the director saying that it is my fault that I got arrested and went against training by doing the daytime activities and not the nighttime activities, then had an apology, and then it's just wrong. It's just wrong. It's been playing on my mind for ages, and I want to put this video out there. And it wasn't my fault that I got arrested. I was arrested for no work permit and working as a Thai tour guide with no Thai permit. These things, the company ever sending you out there, my flights were paid for to go out there, right? So I was brought out there without these correct permits and working status to fill their services, and I've had multiple people and other reps give statements to say that I didn't go against training, and the manager I did the first one with, he actually did every daytime activity with, and all my training was taught from him on the first tour. So it's very, very actually unfortunate of my arrest, and unfortunate of the whole situation. Excuse me. Unfortunate of the whole situation from start to finish of that day. With it being a car crash, with it like if I wasn't stuck in traffic and went to the viewpoint first, would have we been arrested? Me just talking to them and the Thai tour guide not wearing his lanyard, could have this led to something else and something completely different? Absolutely, yes. But in Thailand, yes, there's a little bit of corruption. If there's any kind of money gain involved, they were going to take that. So there's a lot of things that play into it with my arrest. So yeah, I just spent 5 months basically following around the rest of the tours, trying to keep my mind occupied, keep my mind off it. It didn't work. I'm gonna say it was terrible. It was at the forefront of my mind all the time. I didn't really have much support there. I had some close friends that I got really close to. Without those couple of people, I don't know what I would have done. I would have probably tried to escape Thailand or do something. It was a very, very bad time for me. So what, in conclusion, what do I recommend you guys do? Don't sign a consultancy agreement. Don't go for a travel company unless you're employed with employment rights, and make sure you understand what line of work you're doing and sort out your own visas and everything you own, because if you do go out there to be a rep, you're going to end up in the same situation. Now, across 7 years of this happening, of the business operating, I'm the only person that's ever experienced this. So this video isn't to speak to everybody and isn't going to stand for everybody. If you go out there, you're probably going to have no trouble at all, and actually as an average tourist you won't be bothered at all. Thailand is one of the most amazing and beautiful places, the kindest hearts and souls. You will have no problem traveling Thailand, and even working in Thailand you will have no problem at all. But if you're operating in the services delivered of what I had to do, then just bear in mind that tourist police are catching people. They are sentencing people, finding people, and getting rid of those people that are working there without the correct permits, visas, and everything else. So, release papers, courts, all written in Thai that I didn't understand, and as you can imagine, Google Translate pictures was my best friend in this situation. It was absolutely crazy, to say the least. And I just want to say a few thank yous to people, everyone that was involved, everyone that I jumped on tour with. I couldn't tell anybody about this. I didn't tell anybody about this. I didn't tell anybody what was happening. So when I was on tour and delivering these tours, and I was basically put on there for content, although I was not in any frame of mind to get any sort of content. I didn't tell anybody. I was basically acting for 5 months, and as you can imagine, that was very tiring. It was very draining, and I've had no support after, no aftercare, and this again goes into the employment rights. I've had no aftercare. I was ignored for 2 months by the company. I then got an apology. I wanted to post this video, and I've had to get my own advice, my own support, throughout the whole process of being back, and I had nothing from the company. So it is basically, they told me they was looking after the people and etc., but it was in their best interest to make sure that this story didn't go kind of like any further, and protect the business, and that is why they put up money for me, and they also obviously went through the whole process for me. But since landing back in Thailand, I basically have been dropped, not my problem anymore, and kind of left to deal with it on my own, which is quite actually disappointing. We went through a lot together for 5 months, and then just to be dropped on the head for 2 months and ignored, yeah, it was pretty terrible. I was made to sign, well, not made to sign, was offered to sign an NDA, and have received some money for it. The money, quite frankly, was way too little. You couldn't even go away for a weekend with the money I got offered, and to sign an NDA and a legal document, for those guys to take it legal like that was pretty disappointing. I had to have everything checked over legally, which led to obviously a lengthy process in which I was receiving advice on what to do and what I should do and what I can do, and a bit of back and forth with the company to kind of come up with some kind of settlement. Again, still isn't reached as time of this video. So hopefully you enjoyed this video. Just simply what happened to me, my arrest on that day, and yeah, a couple of things to avoid when working for travel companies. Yeah, again, this video was pretty tough to make, but hopefully I kind of explained it well enough briefly inside of 20 minutes. I've only got a period of time I can keep you guys interested. But if you want kind of to know any more, then follow me on Instagram, send me a message. I can send you a few more details. If there's any questions that I haven't answered, leave them in the comments below, and I'm more than happy to write those. Or if this video sucks, I'll make a new one. Thank you so much, guys. I really appreciate absolutely every single one of you. You've all been amazing, and throughout the whole process, everybody that was involved, all been amazing. It's a shame I was let down by the company so much, but hey, we can't have it all. We keep going. It's not put me off traveling. I've got amazing plans for this year, and yeah, that's all that matters. So hopefully you got something from this video, and I'll catch you in the next one.